Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Today is May 8th. We have our April Players of the Month and so much to talk about. Let's do it. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Steven. This is the middle of the order. How are we doing today, folks? The goal of the episode is to not lose my voice, which may or may not be somewhat difficult because there is just so much to talk about. And I feel like I already messed up my intro, but who cares? I'm not going to do it. First and foremost, welcome to today's episode. Let's first pay some respects here because we did have John Sterling pass away, legendary Yankees broadcaster, radio. Of course, you know him. Even if you don't know him, if you are a Yankees fan, you obviously know him. But if you are just a fan of baseball, there is no way you've been a fan of baseball without hearing the famous "The Yankees win" at the end of every Yankees win that he's ever done, which has been so many. Of course, there's with that comes love and hate and love and joking around with, of course, the Blue Jays with that Yankees lose in last year's postseason, but still one of the more legendary, iconic man to have ever called a baseball game. He's up there with some of the greats like Vin Scully. So it is very unfortunate for his passing. A lot of teams did pay a little tribute or, gave a little sign of respect here. The Yankees, the first home run that was hit by, of course, Aaron Judge paid off some respect. The Mets on their win on that day did a little of the Mets win. So there's obviously love within the game of baseball, and he is one of those players, or not one of those players, sorry, one of those broadcasters that, touched many baseball fans, as was a big part, a lot of baseball fans throughout the country and throughout the world here. So, again, the unfortunate passing of John Sterling, may he rest in peace. Now, with that being out of the way, let's get into our AL Players of the Month. That's right, our first official Players of the Month here. Now, the numbers that I grabbed may be a little bit skewed because it was hard to kind of combine April and March because you had those few games that, were happening in March that may or may not have been added into these numbers that I did get. But regardless, even without this month of March, these players were on a heater. So let's dive into it. The AL Catcher of the Month, we're going to the Athletics for Shea Langoliers, who batted .324 with 4 homers, 8 RBIs, and a .907 OPS. I believe he actually is up to like 9 home runs in the year, so that's a little bit skewed. He popped off that first week of the season. Ben Rice from the Yankees, he's been on a tear in the back half of April here, hitting every pitcher he can, a .321 average, 10 homers, 20 RBIs, a 1.188 OPS. Sensational stuff there. For second baseman, always a little bit tricky. Not a lot of top-tier second basemen popping out numbers month in and month out. But Jeremiah Jackson from Baltimore really stands out. Wasn't even playing every day for some of the month, but he has been on a tear. .273 average, 6 home runs, 23 RBIs. By the way, 2 of those homers are grand slams. He's got an .804 OPS. He's killing it. For third baseman, obviously, Jose Ramirez has done very well, but giving some love to Josh Young of the Texas Rangers, a .381 average, 4 homers, 17 ribbies, a 1.103 OPS. Sensational start to the year for him as well. For a shortstop, this may be a rookie, but he has been fantastic to start his career with the Tigers. Kevin McGonigal, a .328 average, 2 homers, 13 RBIs, and a .935 OPS, which brings us to the outfielders. And we've got Aaron Judge, Mike Trout, and Jorge Soler. Give it some love a little bit to Byron Buxton as well, but these guys have been great. Judge, a .275 average, 10 homers, 17 RBIs, a 1.075 OPS. Mike Trout looking like the Mike Trout from past. A 236 average, 8 homers, 18 RBIs, and a 971 OPS. He's been great. And Jorge Soler has been surprising as well. 253 average, 5 homers, 18 RBIs, and an 827 OPS for him. And sticking on that Halo path for starting pitcher of the month, there's only one guy and one guy alone. Jose Soriano, breakout candidate so far this season, although did get roughed up by the White Sox over the week here. He posted a 0.84 ERA throughout the month. 42.2 innings pitched with 49 strikeouts. He's got a 5-1 record to start the year. He's been fantastic. For rookie of the month here, obviously Kevin McGonigal deserves some love, but he's already our shortstop player of the month. So we're going to give it to Munetaka Murakami, who has been on a tear for the White Sox. A 228 average. He's picked up, 11, 12 homers, 19 RBIs, and 890 OPS. That seems low. It's definitely higher on the season, but of course, this is just the numbers for the month here. He's been phenomenal. And then for the specialist /DH, we took more the DH approach to pick up Yordan Alvarez, who was probably the player for the AL here. 356 average, 12 homers, 27 RBIs, and a 1.199 OPS. A healthy season from him could really challenge Judge for the AL MVP at the end of the year. Moving on now, let's get to the NL players of the month. Of course, these are my picks. Just so you know, AL and NL players, I go through the stats. I pick the players because I didn't specify that in the first little bit here. But let's get into the NL with catcher. We're going to the Braves for Drake Baldwin. He is the Rookie of the Year winner last year, and he is starting off the year hot at 315 average, 4 homers, 22 RBIs, and 846 OPS. He's been a big factor in the Braves being one of the 3 teams currently in first place in MLB. And that is why we're not only is Drake Baldwin here, but Matt Olson from the Braves is also here, as well as Ozzie Albies for the Braves as second base. So catcher, first, and second all belong to the Atlanta Braves. Makes sense. They're one of the best teams in baseball. Matt Olson, a 302 average, 9 homers, 27 RBIs, and a 1.042 OPS. For Albies, he's got a 324 average, 6 homers, 19 RBIs, and a 923 OPS. Albies always had a good glove at second base, always, could hit for contact. But when you get that power stroke going, Ozzie Albies can be very dangerous. And 6 home runs is definitely a very good start for Ozzie Albies. Max Muncy leads it at third base, a 278 average, 8 homers, 10 RBIs, and 939 OPS. One thing we got to say is, hey, Dodgers, get on base for Max Muncy. He's hitting home runs left, right, and center, but he's getting almost no RBIs because he's hitting a bunch of solo shots. Help him out a little bit. For shortstop, CJ Abrams deserves some love, but I chose Ellie De La Cruz, who posted a 298 average, 8 homers, 22 RBIs, and a 942 OPS. The Reds are not doing so hot on a 7-game losing streak. They were 9 games above 500. Now we're just 2 games above 500 thanks to that streak. So Ellie and the rest of the Reds team needs to get going here, but he has been great so far. For the outfielder, I was looking at some OPS numbers. There's a lot of great NL outfielders that you could have chose for this for player of the month here for the April and the start of the season. I went with Kyle Schwarber, Mickey Moniak, and James Wood. Schwarber, a 239 average, 9 homers, 17 RBIs, and a 1.022 OPS. From Moniak, turning it around, 315 average, 8 homers, 17 RBIs, and a 1.013 OPS. Maybe it is the Coors effect, but a good Mickey Moniak is something that I'm sure lots of people want to see. Lastly, James Woods, that 260 average. He's posted 9 homers, 21 RBIs, and a 1.011 OPS. It's good to see James Wood back and slugging again. Of course, he was very hot early last year, but after the All-Star break, cooled off tremendously. Looking to avoid that this year. For starting pitcher, surprise, surprise, we'll still never have a player of the month without mentioning Shohei Ohtani, but instead of hitting stats that we're looking at, We're looking at his pitching stats because he's been great. He has a 0.6 ERA. Unbelievable numbers. 30 innings pitched with 34 strikeouts, a 2-1 record. So he's not getting as many wins as Soriano, but ERA's been lower. He's been phenomenal. For the rookies of the month, I mean, we've been saying it kind of all season long so far, how good this rookie class is going to be, how many great talents there are. And Sal Stewart is definitely a name that deserves all the love and probably is the rookie of the month in general between both the AL and the NL. You know, obviously Murakami and McGonigal do deserve their flowers. But I did go with J.J. Weatherholt. I mean, his numbers kind of just surprised me. They jumped out at me when I was looking at the rookies here. 247 average, 6 homers, 12 RBIs, and an 8.68 OPS. And yes, Stewart's numbers are slightly better. Yeah, I don't know why I did choose J.J. Weatherholt. I should choose Sal Stewart because he was just as good. Not just as good. He's been better. He's got more homers. He's got a better OPS. He's got more RBIs. He's checking off all the boxes. But J.J. Weatherholt is doing great stuff with the Cardinals as well. But yeah, for the rookie of the month, I'm going with Sal Stewart, a 281 average, 9 homers, 29 RBIs, 943 OPS. I wrote down Weatherholt, but yeah, it's definitely Sal Stewart that deserves to take the cake here. And for the special/DH, there was a player who was on a hitting streak that reached all the way up to 27 games. Ildemaro Vargas. What a start to the season he's had. A 372 average. 372 average is crazy. 6 homers, 20 RBIs, and a 1.091 OPS. So it's not even like he's just going up there and getting a hit every other game. No, he's contributing to this Diamondbacks team as well. 20 RBIs, nothing to scoff at. Those are my picks for the NL players of the month. And now we look quickly at MLB and what they chose to do for their players of the month. It starts with the AL player of the month. They chose Yordan Alvarez, a 356 average, that 1.199 OPS, 12 homers, and 27 RBIs. Sensational stuff there. For the NL player of the month, they went with Ildemaro Vargas, who posted a 372 average, that 1.091 OPS, 6 homers, 20 RBIs. We just mentioned that. He's been fantastic for the Diamondbacks here early in this season. For the pitchers, for the AL and the NL, both the guys that I said as well, Jose Soriano and Shohei Ohtani. Not going to repeat their stats, but again, phenomenal stuff start to the season for them. For the rookies of the month, Kevin McGonigal and Sal Stewart. As we mentioned, McGonigal, that 328 average and 935 OPS, 2 homers, 13 RBIs. He's been fantastic, but Murakami's definitely beaten him on the power stroke there, and Sal Stewart has just been kind of taking over the NL Rookie of the Year. Will Connor Griffin eventually catch him? Who knows? And of course, something that I do not do, but MLB does, is the relievers of the month. I would do the relievers, but there is too many to look at all of them. Although these two guys have been on my radar all season long, one of which is because he's been getting all the MLB national news, and another which is because that guy's on my favorite team, and he's been just as good. The reliever for the AL is Louis Varland from your Toronto Blue Jays. He's been so amazing. Like, he's been locked down. 16 innings, a 0.56 ERA, 26 strikeouts. He picked up 3 holds before now recently taking over the closer role from Jeff Hoffman, and since doing so, he's picked up 4 saves already for the Blue Jays. On the NL side, of course, it's Mason Miller. This guy has been dominant. 15 and a third innings, 1.17 ERA, 29 strikeouts, and 10 saves. These two guys have been lights out for their respective teams, and that is what MLB has for their players of the month. And that does wrap up the first edition this year of the players of the month. Good to have that done and dusted. And now we can get into our normal episode and start with, of course, our series recap. Going back to last weekend, Baltimore and the Yankees, they got to finish up a 4-game set. Judge homers. The Yankees add 6 in the 8th. They end up with a 4-game sweep over the Oilers. They win it 12-1. And we have the Phillies and the Marlins. Phillies had 2-1 over the weekend. Bryce Harper hit his 7th home run for the only run in a 1-0 Phillies win as they take 3 of 4 from the Marlins. On to this week's games, we go Rangers and Yankees. Ryan McMahon, Jazz Chisholm, Paul Goldschmidt all go deep in a 7-4 Yankees win. The Rangers would answer in Game 2 as Corey Seager and Evan Carter go deep. 6-1 the final, and in that road match, the Yankees come back, scoring 6 in the 6th as they run away with it. They take it 9-2 and 2 of 3 from the Rangers. Blue Jays and Rays. Ryan Vilade hits a 3-run homer in the first, his first of the year, which sparked the Rays to a 5-1 victory. Kazuma Okamoto continues his power week with his 10th homer of the season, but the Rays take the lead. They score 2 in the 8th, come back and win it 4-3 Rays, and in the finale they win it once again. Even though the Trop is newish with a new roof, it's the same curse for the Toronto Blue Jays, who only score 4 runs in the 3 games. They dropped the last game 3-0 Rays with the sweep. Red Sox and Tigers. The Red Sox scored 5 in the 7th, including a Jarren Duran go-ahead 3-run homer. They come back and take a 5-4 victory. In Game 2, Cedane Rafaela, Wilson Contreras, and Willie Abreu all homer off of Framber Valdez. Contreras and Abreu throws back-to-back homers, and the next batter after that was Trevor Story, which Framber Valdez hit with a fastball. That causes the benches to clear. The Red Sox score 10 runs off of Framber in a 10-3 victory, and in the last game, the Red Sox, they're pitching blanks the Tigers. They score 2 in the 3rd and add 2 more in the 4th. They get the sweep over the Tigers. How do you like that? Guardians and Royals, 6-2. The Royals, Bobby Witt and Jack Caglione, they both homer. How do you like that if you are a fan of the Royals, basically? Then Michael Massey in Game 2 hits a go-ahead home run. Isaac Collins also goes deep in a 5-3 Royals win. They take the first 2 of 4. But here come the Guardians. In Game 3, Chase DeLauder, a 2-run single in the 5th is the difference in a 3-1 victory. And in the last game, Bo Naylor hits a 3-run homer, which ends up being the difference in the game as Bobby Witt Jr. and Vinny Pasquantino would homer late in this one to make it a 3-run game, which is why Naylor's homer so important. In an 8-5 Guardians win, the Royals and Cleveland split the 4-game set to apiece. White Sox and Angels now. Munetaka Murakami, Miguel Vargas, they both go back-to-back in the 4th. The White Sox with a 6-0 win over the Halos in the opener, but here come those Halos as Mike Trout, Jorge Soler, and Zach Neto all go deep in a 4-3 Angels win, and in that finale, it's Travis d'Arnaud hitting a 3-run homer, starting up a 5-run second, to which the Halos win 8-2. Dodgers and Astros. Kyle Tucker is back in Houston, and he is going deep in his return. Alex Freeland also going deep for the Dodgers. 8-3 the final in that one. Christian Walker and Braden Shoemake both homer in a 2-1 Astros win to even up the series, but it's Andy Pages in the 3rd game who hits not 1, not 2, but 3 homers as he gets up to 8 on the season in a 12-2 Dodgers win for the series win. Braves and Mariners now. The Braves hit 4 solo shot homers. Drake Baldwin, Ozzie Albies, Matt Olson, who hit his 300th career home run, as well as Austin Riley, but the Mariners come back with 5 in the 6th. A 3-run homer from Luke Raley, followed by a go-ahead 2-run shot from J.P. Crawford as the Mariners take a 5-4 victory. In Game 2, J.P. homers again for the Mariners, but tied up at 2 in the 9th, it's Matt Olson who goes deep again for the Braves to give them the lead and the win. They take it 3-2 the final, and in the last game, Julio hits his 5th home run and hands the Braves their first series loss of the year. Yeah, that's right, you heard it. 3-1 Mariners taking 2 of 3 from the Braves. First Braves loss of a series this season. A's and Phillies now. Bryce Harper continues to figure things out at the plate. He picks up a 2-homer game. Stott also goes deep. It's 9-1 Phillies. In Game 2, Adolis Garcia picks up his 4th homer of the season as the Phillies come back with 4 runs in the 8th to take the lead and win it 6-3. But in the last game, it's Shea Langeliers, it's Brent Rooker, it's Jacob Wilson, and Zach Geloff as the A's stomp on the Phillies to avoid the sweep. 12-1 the final. Twins and Nationals. Buxton homers. The Twins score 4 in the 4th, add 3 more in the 8th, and finish it 11-3 the final. The Nationals nearly doubled their score though in Game 2. Up with 8 runs, they added 7 in the 8th. They pick up homers from Drew Milas, Grady House, Jose Tena, and a grand slam from C.J. Abrams in a 15-2 win. And in the rubber match, tied up at 5, it's Keibert Ruiz who hits a go-ahead homer in the 7th. That's the difference in a 7-5 Nationals win, taking 2 of 3 from the Twins. Orioles and Marlins now, after the Marlins tied it up with home runs from Leon Hicks and Otto Lopez. The O's took the lead right back in the 9th. Singles from Adley Rutschman and Leody Taveras. They hold on to win it 9-7. In the second game, Pete Alonso, his 7th home run. Adley has 2 RBI doubles in this game. They end up with a 7-4 victory. And tied up in the 9th, Liam Hicks would homer again in this series. The Marlins end up walking it off on a throwing error by Kobe Mayer. The Marlins avoid the sweep. Walk-off error. Thank you, Kobe Mayo. 4-3 the final for Miami. Brewers and Cardinals. The Cardinals take Game 1 as Ivan Herrera hits a 3-run bases-clearing double to help the Cardinals to a 6-3 victory. Rain on Tuesday must mean that game gets moved all the way to July 7th. So this 3-game series is now a 2-game series where Andrew Vaughn hits the first home run of the season for him. A 3-run shot in the first sets the tone in a 6-2 Brewers victory. They technically split the 2-game set 1 apiece. Reds and Cubs. Oh boy, what a series for 4. JJ Bleday, Ke'Bryan Hayes, they both homer for the Reds. Seiya Suzuki ties it with 1 swing though as he hits a 3-run homer. Cubs down 1, they end up tying it in the 9th, and then Michael Conforto is the hero. He gets the walk-off home run as the Cubs score 2 in the 9th to come back and win. In Game 2, JJ Bleday homers again. He's joined by Nathaniel Lau, who goes deep for the Reds. Michael Busch, though, ties it in the 8th. A solo shot homer. We go to extras, and it's Michael Busch again. He is the hero of this night with a walk-off single as the Cubs walk off the Reds on back-to-back nights. 3-2 the final in 10. And if I forgot to mention the first score, it was 5-4 Cubs in that first game. I don't remember mentioning it. Into Game 3 we go, though. Ian Happ homers, Matt McLain, Spencer Steer go deep for the Reds, who end up scoring 4 runs in the 9th as they went from down 2 to up 2 and flipped the script. But hold on to your horses. The Cubs tie it in the 9th again. A 2-run shot from PCA gets the runs back. We're going to extras again, and once again, it's Michael Busch being the hero, but in a less dramatic form. With the bases loaded, he gets the walk to win it for the Cubs. A bases loaded walk as the Cubs walk off the Reds for a 3rd straight game. 7-6 the final in 10, and in the last game Conforto would go deep, and I guess the Cubs didn't want to have a 4th straight walk-off as they score 7 runs in the 4th, but they finish off a 4-game sweep of the Reds. Cubs are on fire. Pirates and D-backs. 8-3 Cubs in that game. Pirates and D-backs. D-backs blank the Pirates. They score 5 runs in the 6th, taking a 9-0 victory. In Game 2, Brandon Lau homers in the 1st, and it's the only run of this game as Paul Skeens shoves for the Pirates, 1-0 the final. And in that last game, Brandon Lau homers again in the 1st. He's up to 10 on the year. Joey Bart goes deep later for the Pirates as they win this series 4-2, taking 2 of 3 from the D-backs. Padres and Giants. Now the Padres out home with the Giants as Jackson Merrill and Ramon Laureano go deep. But Casey Schmidt homers. Devers picks up 2 RBIs in the win. Giants take it 3-2. Schmidt homers again in the second game, but how about some new blood? Jesus Rodriguez picks up his first career MLB hit, and later it's his first career MLB home run for the Giants. But he's not the only one picking up hits. Sung-Mun Song gets his first career MLB hit and RBI for the Padres, and his at bat. Bogarts goes deep in this one for the Padres as they take a 10-5 victory. And in the red match, Gavin Sheets goes deep. Xander Bogaerts homers again. 5-1 Padres, taking 2 of 3 from the Giants. And lastly, we have the Mets and the Rockies. Carson Bench homers to start a 4-run sixth. The Mets lead it 4-2. There's rain on Tuesday, so that game ruins the day off for the teams as they have the doubleheader. Not a doubleheader, it just gets moved to Thursday. The second game being on Wednesday, it's Soto with a leadoff homer to get this one rolling. The Mets score 4 in the 6th, and Simeon homers late in this one. 10-5 New York. Looking for the sweep, tied up at 2 in the 8th. It's Jake McCarthy, the go-ahead grand slam. 6-2 Rockies. They win it. Your series recap. Not bad ending it on kind of time here. As we get into the game of the week, we are going to Chicago, where things are going well for one team here and not so well for the other. Reds and Cubs here, top of the first. Elly De La Cruz grounds out, but that scores a run. The Reds get on the board first, but it only lasts a half inning as Ian Happ hits his 9th homer of the season, a 2-run shot in the bottom of the first. The Cubs take the lead. It's 2-1. It would stay that way until the bottom of the 4th, where Seiya Suzuki picks up an RBI double to make it 3-1. And then Carson Kelly would ground into a double play, but another run would score on that play. It's 4-1 Cubs. They've got a 3-run lead going into the top of the 5th, where Matt McLain hits his 3rd homer of the season. A solo shot cuts the lead in half from 4-1 to 4-2. And I would say that way all the way until the 9th inning. The Reds need to rally. And rally did they do. Spencer Steer, his 6th homer of the season, puts the Reds within 1. Then J.J. Bleday, who has been hot all series long, picks up an RBI single to tie the game up at 4. And of course, he's been hot to start the year. It's Elly De La Cruz, who picks up not 1, but a 2-run sac fly. Speed kills and hard hit balls. And it wasn't like a mistake by the Cubs or anything. It was just a catch, little stumble on the warning track. But Elly picks up 2 on a sac fly. The Reds have a 2-run lead going into the 9th. They're just 3 outs away to finish things off. But oh no, with a runner on its PCA. Pete Crow Armstrong in the clutch, his 4th homer of the season, ties this game up at 6. We go to extras. Again, the Reds do not score. The Cubs get the bases loaded, and Michael Busch, who hit the walk-off single in the game before this one, takes the walk. The Cubs win it in walk-off fashion, a 3rd straight game on walk-off fashion. They've been incredible. They win it 7-6 in 10 to beat the Reds. A team on a big winning streak, a team on a big losing streak, and that's exactly what we're talking about first here, because your Chicago Cubs have been insane once again. They started the season a little back and forth-ish, nothing too crazy, nothing that goes, insane. At one point, they were last in the division, which again, the NL Central is still an electric division. The Reds, who are on that 7-game losing streak, as I mentioned, they were 20-11. They're now 20-18, but they're still above 500 and have still been a pretty good team all season long. They just find themselves into an early slump here right now, and they need to get out of it because, again, this NL Central is looking to be a dogfight. The Cardinals are still in the mix at 8-2 in the last 10. They're 22-15, just 3.5 back of this Chicago Cubs team that, as I was mentioning before I kind of got sidetracked about the NL Central. The Cubs start the season a little, win one, lose one, win two, lose two. They went on a 10-game winning streak to end the month of April. And then after, losing that streak and losing, I think, 2 or 3 in a row, they've now come back to win another 9 straight games. For the second time already this year, the Cubs have have 2 different 9-game winning streaks. And just so you know, no other team of the 29 teams have even gotten a 9-game winning streak, and the Cubs have done it twice. That first one ended at 10 games. The one that they're currently on, of course, as I mentioned, is at 9. So if they win today, if they win today against the Texas Rangers, they would have now 2 10-game winning streaks on the year already. They're tied with the Yankees and Braves for the best teams in baseball. All 3 of those teams, Yankees, Cubs, and Braves, are tied 26-12 on the year. And if you're saying 9-game winning streak, blah, 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 not only has it been that 9-game winning streak, you look at Wrigley Field specifically, they have won 15 straight games at home. 15 straight games. There's home field advantage, and then there's whatever is going on right now in Wrigley Field and with this Cubs team. And again, it's not like PCA has been off to a scorching hot start, or anything like that. It's nothing that's been dramatically crazy. The last time that they lost at home was against the Pittsburgh Pirates back on April 11th. We're nearly a month since the Cubs lost their last home game. There is some incredible baseball being done. It's everybody. It's Dansby Swanson. It's, Shota Eminaga. It's the unsung heroes. Michael Conforto with the walk-off home run to start that 4-game sweep of the Reds. Of course, Bregman's been great and a great addition. Moises Ballestarios. I could go on and list all these Cubs players that have been dominating right now. Seiya Suzuki had a big home run, and all these guys, they're doing it night after night. And, people were a little bit hesitant because the Cubs kind of replaced Kyle Tucker with Alex Bregman. It's okay, whose production is better? Will the Cubs, have it? And of course, at the start of the season, they lost Cade Horton to a similar injury that they lost Justin Steele to, who, again, they will get back at some point this season. But you're down Cade Horton. They lost Matthew Boyd this week to an injury. So, they're handling injuries. They're playing great baseball. They've got great pitching, both starters and relief. It's been working very well for the Cubs. And again, 2 9-game winning streaks already at this point in the season. 15 straight at home. They are on a heater, and they should not be trying to slow down by any means. Let's move on here and talk about something that I find a little bit interesting here. So, going back to last week, while the Pirates were playing the Reds, there was a situation where the Reds were up big, and Chris Davinsky, a pitcher from the Pittsburgh Pirates, threw at Sal Stewart, and it looked pretty intentional. And there was some words exchanged and a little bit of a dust up at the bench clearings here. Well, it came out this week that he was suspended 3 games for intentionally throwing at Sal Stewart, which makes this next little nugget a little bit more interesting because, of course, throughout the week here, we had the Red Sox and the Tigers play a game. And if you missed it in the series recap that I did, it was 10 runs that the Red Sox put on Framber Valdez. And it ended with back-to-back home runs from Wilson Contreras and Wilyer Abreu. Trevor Story steps up, and the first pitch beamed on the back. Benches would clear. There's a whole upset from the Red Sox end, of course, and obviously Framber was not happy. He ends up getting ejected, and then it comes out that he was suspended 6 games for intentionally throwing at Trevor Story. AJ Hinch also received a suspension for, being the manager in a situation like that. Of course, you should have a say in what your pitchers are doing. Of course, will they or won't they? We know Framber Valdez had a little bit of some not nice media attention last year with the apparent cross-up of his catcher, of course, shaking him off. Then, when doing so, the next pitch he throws leads to a homer, and then the next pitch he throws, whether it was, he called a curveball or an off-speed pitch, and then Framber just threw a fastball right down the middle, and it kind of, caught him off guard. It was a big story with that. So this is another, not nice media story for Framber Valdez, of course, with the intentional throwing of story after giving up 10 runs to a team, and only getting 9 outs in that game. But I think the overall story here that I want to follow is that I don't think we've seen in the years prior, unless it was super obvious, a lot of suspensions for pitchers who intentionally threw at guys. Yeah, you get maybe ejected, maybe you get a game or two off, but we have seen it not only just with these two suspensions, but there's also been one or two other ones already this season. So I think we're up to 3 or 4 pitchers who were suspended for a length of time for intentionally throwing at batters. And I feel like we never saw this in the few years prior. So it could be something that MLB is trying to crack down on just a little bit and kind of setting a precedent here by handing out these kinds of, suspensions. And I wonder how much higher it will go. Obviously Chris Davinsky is a relief pitcher, so 3 games does make sense. Framber Valdez being their starter, getting 6 games also kind of makes sense. It basically is you're missing, 1 or 2 games off of your normal, regular rotation. And that does throw a, buzzsaw into the Tigers' plan here in terms of pitching, because, of course, when you're dealing with injuries and other things that are just going wrong, and then now you have to deal with a suspension of your rotation, it is costly. So, again, I wonder, are we going to see more suspensions? Like, if you can get a case of where a pitcher is obviously throwing at a batter, how, now that we've had that 6-game suspension here for Valdez, is that the limit now? Is like, okay, if MLB deems that anytime a pitcher throws at a hitter, that 6-game suspension is coming if you're a starter, or a 3-game if you're a relief? Or is it like, hey, we don't want pitchers intentionally throwing at hitters because that leads to injuries. It's bad for the game. Guys like George Springer, Mike Trout, Wilson Contreras, those 3 guys come off to my mind of guys who likes to stand close to the plate, who, struggle with the up and in fastballs and other up and in pitches. And when pitchers try to throw it in on them, if they can't control it, it ends up hitting their hands, their feet. And that's how those great players tend to get hurt a lot of the times. If you're intentionally doing it, that just increases the chances of maybe a guy getting hurt. Something that MLB doesn't want to happen. So will we see, like, oh, if you're intentionally throwing, yeah, it was 6, now it's 8. Next thing you know, it's 10 games or 11 games. Like, that is a lot of games to be missing in a 162-game season for just intentionally throwing at a player once. So it seems like MLB might be trying to put an end to that. A breaking ball gets away here and there, something clips it. But, I mean, these are situations where the Reds were pummeling the Pirates. Sal Stewart had a home run. Boom, you beam him. He's been an amazing start for the Reds this season. Framber gives up 10 runs, including 2 back-to-back home runs. The next pitch he throws is a 4-seam fastball that hits a batter. By the way, the only other 4-seam fastball he's thrown hits a batter. So, like, he's got this 4-seam fastball that he only uses to hit a batter when he's upset. I think Framber needs to get his emotions in check a little bit here. But yeah, he's currently serving a suspension. Hinch serves a suspension. He had a quote after the game saying, usually when you're on the field in the kind of bench clearings, you always have a feeling that you're in the right. It's a hero complex or just like a main character energy kind of thing where, yeah, if you're fighting for something, if you're fighting about something, usually you're in the right about it. His quote was basically saying it was the first time that he felt like he wasn't. Obviously, he didn't agree with what Framber did. He thought it was wrong. And I'm sure there'll be a little bit of internal work in the Tigers clubhouse to get that fixed up and, moved on, because you don't want to have that continue to be a storyline. Of course, Framber, like I said, last year had the storylines follow him. You don't want that happening again to him this year. So that is something that they will definitely try to nip in the butt pretty quickly here if you were AJ Hinch and the Tigers. All right, let's get into our injury updates from this week. And the first one is a biggie, and it stays with the Detroit Tigers, who we were talking about. Tarek Skubal lands on the 15-day IL. He has loose bodies in his elbow. He is going to need surgery. It's similar to what Edwin Diaz is doing. And I think it's the exact same thing. I'm not sure if it's the same timeline. We know Diaz was about to miss 3 months because of this. So maybe Skubal's in that same boat. Maybe it's a little bit longer, but that is a big blow for the Tigers. And Tarek Skubal, who, was trying to stay healthy, win a third Cy Young award in back-to-back-to-back years. Not going to happen now, or is very unlikely. Gleyber Torres is another Tiger that joins the IL list. It's a 10-day IL for a strained oblique. I mentioned Matthew Boyd, 15-day IL with knee surgery. He's going to get and is expected to miss at least 6 weeks of the season. So the Cubs are down a starter. Yanger Diaz from the Astros, 10-day IL with a strained oblique. Josh Smith from the Rangers, 10-day IL with a strained glute. Steven Matz on the 15-day IL with elbow inflammation. Jake Cronenworth ends up on the 7-day concussion IL for the Padres. Red Sox losing out on their young stud Roman Anthony, who's been kind of cold to start the year. 10-day IL with a sprained wrist. Luis Campusano on the 10-day IL with a fractured toe. Emilio Pagan lands on the 15-day IL with a strained hamstring. This one was a little bit hard to watch. He was in a lot of pain coming into his game, trying to get the save against the Cubs, of course. And I think his first or second pitch just started rolling down. He's expected to miss 4 to 8 weeks. And the last one here is interesting. It is Carlos Correa. He is out for this season. He has a torn ankle tendon. Now, what's interesting about this, if you go back to his free agency a few years ago, he signed with the Giants, pending physical. And after that pending physical, it was something about his ankle. So they passed. And the Mets ended up signing him, pending physical. They also saw what was going on with his ankle and decided to pass and ended up eventually signing with the Twins. What is interesting to note here is that what we saw, this torn ankle tendon that he is now out for the season for, is not on the same ankle that the Giants and Mets saw and decided to pass for that. So it's not one of his ankles, it's apparently both of his ankles, which is now very interesting because maybe it's like out for the season, yeah, great, and that's just one ankle. He'll come back next season and the same thing might happen to the other ankle. So who knows? But it definitely is something to, take with a grain of salt on the potential future for Carlos Correa. Let's move into our outstanding performances from the week. There were some outstanding ones indeed. Aaron Nola, 6 innings, 5 hits, no runs, no walks, while striking out 5. Peyton Tolley from the Red Sox, 7 innings, 1 hit, no runs, a walk, and 8 strikeouts. Trevor McDonald from the Giants, 7 innings, 2 hits, a run, no walks, and 8 Ks. Davies Martin from the White Sox, 7 innings, 5 hits, no runs, no walks, while striking out 10 batters. Pretty impressive stuff there. Christopher Sanchez, 8 innings, 3 hits, no runs, a walk, and 10 strikeouts. Peter Lambert from the Astros, he outduels Ohtani, 7 innings, 3 hits, no runs, 4 walks, and 4 Ks. Ohtani, 7 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs, no walks, and 8 Ks. Eduardo Rodriguez, 7 innings, 3 hits, no runs, 3 walks, and 7 Ks. Brian Wu, I think first time on the list for him this year, 6 innings, a hit, no runs, 2 walks, and 9 strikeouts. Nathan Eovaldi against the Yankees, 8 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, no walks, and 8 Ks. Speaking of the Yankees, I'm pretty sure they're calling up Spencer Jones this weekend. That's interesting. Paul Skeens was dominant, 8 innings, 2 hits, no runs, no walks, and 7 Ks. Shota Imanaga, 6 innings, 6 hits, a run, 3 walks, and 10 strikeouts. And lastly, JT Ginn from the Athletics, 8 innings, 4 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, and 8 Ks. A very good start for him and the Athletics. As we'll now take a gander into the stat leaderboard here, see what has changed, because some things have changed. One thing that hasn't, though, is that Ildemaro Vargas still leads in average. It has dropped, though. It's now at 360. We have a new hits leader, and it's Miami Marlins Otto Lopez, up to 50 hits on the year. Aaron Judge is sole possession of home runs, just one above Murakami. He's up to 15 on the year. We have another Miami Marlin and another new leader for RBIs. Liam Hicks is back in the top of the leaderboard. He had it, I think, the first week or when we did the first stat leaderboard. He was leading RBIs. He's up to 34 now and is back to first place. New leader for runs, Matt Olson, with 35 runs scored. Mike Trout will tie Nick Kurtz atop the leaderboard for walks. Both of them have 36. Jose Ramirez tying Nazman Nunez for stolen bases. Both of them now with 14. And we have a new OPS leader, Mr. Ben Rice from the Yankees, a 1.214. He's been killing it recently, hitting the cover off of righties and the cover off of lefties, which has been the really important thing for him to get going this season. For wins, it is Aaron Ashby and Chris Sale. The two of them are tied with 6 wins on the season. New ERA leader as Mr. Jose Soriano gets roughed up a little bit by the White Sox. Shohei Ohtani will take over, the only pitcher with a sub-1 ERA that's qualified. He's at a 0.97. Christopher Sanchez will tie Gavin Williams for strikeouts, both of them with 60 Ks on the season. And for saves, Mason Miller, you've got company. They're at 11. Cardinals, who would have thought? Riley O'Brien, 11 saves, similar to Mason's. Not similar, the exact same. The two of them tied for saves with 11. I would not have guessed that Riley O'Brien would have been tied with saves, or any Cardinals would have led in any stats at all. But the Cardinals have been very good so far this year through, a little bit of March, the full month of April, and here we are, getting into almost a third of the month of May, believe it or not. This now takes us to our upcoming series for the weekend. What to watch? There are some good ones. The A's are taking on Baltimore in Baltimore. The Orioles there. The Halos are going to Toronto. Blue Jays back at home, looking to end a 4-game losing streak. The Rays and Red Sox, I believe they play 4. Twins and Guardians, they get a series. Tigers and Royals. Mariners at White Sox. Cubs at Rangers. Cubs in that 9-game winning streak, looking to make it 12 after the series there. Rockies at Phillies. Nationals at Marlins. The Astros are in Cincinnati to take on the Reds. The Reds need to end that 7-game losing streak. Yankees in Milwaukee to take on the Brewers. The Cardinals and Padres, I believe, play a 4-game set. Pirates at Giants. Mets at D-backs, and the most interesting series of the weekend in my mind, the Braves are going up against the Dodgers. One of the 3 best teams in baseball take on the team that are back-to-back World Series champions. Of course, the Braves and Dodgers have a lot of history in recent years in the playoffs, so that is sure to be a fun series. We take a look now into the playoff predictor. If the season ended today, who's in it and who's winning it all? In the AL wildcard matchup, the Tigers are your 6 seed. Your Guardians are your 3 seed. These two teams love matching up in the postseason, it seems like. The Mariners, the 5 seed. The Rays, the 4 seed. Tigers, of course, they beat the Guardians, while the Rays handle it against the Mariners. So the ALDS matchups. Tigers at the A's in the 2 seed. The Athletics still killing it. Rays at Yankees. Little AL East battle there in that game there. And we've got the A's that beat the Tigers, and the Rays upset the Yankees. The Rays have won 7 straight, by the way. They're on a heater as well. The Rays will take on the Athletics in the ALCS. And it's the Athletics that beat the Rays. They head to the World Series. Really, are the Athletics going to win a World Series? In the NL side, the Pirates in the 6 seed, Dodgers in the 3 seed, Padres in the 5 seed, Cardinals at the 4 seed. The Dodgers will beat the Pirates. The Padres beat the Cardinals. So what you have for your NLDS matchups, the Dodgers at the Cubs in the 2 seed, while the Padres take on the Braves in the 1 seed. Of course, those two teams tied. The Cubs beat the Dodgers. The Padres upset the Braves. So your NLCS matchup are your San Diego Padres and your Chicago Cubs. The Cubs, of course, win that, and they head to the World Series to take on the Athletics. The Athletics, the Cubs, the World Series, and the 2026 winners, your Chicago Cubs. They win it all. They're the 2026 World Series champions. If the season ended today, of course, they've been one of the best teams in baseball, and it shows in their record. They continue to put up phenomenal numbers. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for our episode here today. I appreciate you all. This was a bit of a bigger episode, but of course there was just so much to talk about: the suspensions, the Cubs, the amazing winnings that they've been doing, and what they, winning at home and winning 9 in a row, winning 10 in a row. How much more can they win? And of course, the players of the month for the start of the season, for the month of April, and a little bit into May. Of course, we are a month into the season with 5 more still to go. May continues to bring some great baseball. And again, I appreciate you always. Thank you, everybody, so much. And I will see you on Monday.